Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing a really exciting video. I did a video like this before and I was inspired by Jess from Peace Love Books to create this video. And so I did one with contemporary romances, and I said in that video that I would do a historical version of that, and that is talking about my favorite historical romance authors and recommending a book of theirs to start with, because I feel like a lot of people who want to get into historical romances don't really know where to start. And I feel like also a lot of people don't know that with series you don't really have to start at the beginning. You can start anywhere because they're all, you know, companion novels, but also they have like similar characters, but whatever happens in the book before doesn't really pertain to the next book unless it's just like couples. So I thought this was such a fun idea and I wanted to do a historical version of this one. So let's get right into this video. The first author I want to talk about is Kate Bateman. So Kate Bateman, I feel like is a fairly newer historical romance. I think she started writing in maybe like 2016, if I'm correct. But this is one of her newer releases of like a series that she has. And so this first book is a hate to love romance, and it's actually a really fun premise. So the hero and heroine have both like rival families, and both of their lands like touch. And so for years and years, every year, one person for each family has to go to their meeting spot, or this like sliver of land they have in between. And if the other family doesn't arrive, then those people forfeit that land to the other family. And so they were like childhood rivals when they were younger, and now he is back from war and she's seeing him again. And they also have to go on this like scavenger hunt to find this lost treasure that they find in this like cave thing. They have to figure that out, but then they're like falling in love in the process. And it's really, really good. I really love this one. It's such a fun romance, and I feel like it's a great start to her writing because you kind of are in her newest series. And you can also go back to some of her other books. Her other books are amazing. I read one that was really, really good, but I thought this was such a fun book. Childhood enemies to lovers, and it's really funny to see all of their families, like both their families hate each other, but then there's like these funny stories of family members from each of their families like sneaking off, and they're like talking about different old family members, like, oh, this person and this person hooked up, but like you're not supposed to know that. And so I just really love this one. It has a fun storyline, just a great read, and I really do like Kate Bateman's writing. I feel like she writes unique romances where it's not necessarily just two people in high society. She kind of goes a little bit outside of the box, so definitely go check her out. I really love her writing. So this next author is an old school historical romance author. She does not write historical romance anymore, and that's Julie Garwood. So I love Julie Garwood's writing. I've read a couple books by her now, and this is still by far my favorite. The Secret was the first book I read from her, and a lot of her books take place in Scotland. This is a Scottish Highlander romance, and so our heroine is traveling to go help her best friend give birth to her first child, and her best friend is married to someone in a Scottish clan, and I think they were both English before, and so now she has to go travel to this Scottish clan to help her best friend give birth. And the hero is the laird, which is the leader of the clan, and he's like, she is not coming alone, I'm gonna go get her and then I'll bring her back. And so it's kind of a travel romance. They really butt heads, and there's some like fun moments where she has to like ride on a horse with him. I think at one point she tries to like escape him, and it's just hilarious. And I just remember loving this book and finding it so fun. And if you love like Outlander, or if you've never read a Scottish Highlander romance before and you want to try one, this is a perfect segue to Scottish Highlanders and kind of gives you a feel of like clans and all of that good stuff. And I just really love this one, so definitely go check it out. And it's by far my favorite from Julie Garwood. The next author I want to talk about is Lisa Claybus. So I read Again the Magic first from her, and I think you should definitely read Again the Magic first from her because it is definitely people's favorite books one of their favorite books by her, and I totally agree with that. So this one kind of has a little bit of two romance stories in it, but this is a prequel to the Wallflower series, which is one of her most famous series, and this is actually about the sister of one of the heroes in that series. And so she and the hero have been best friends since they were young. The hero was a servant, and she is the daughter of, I think, like a duke, or maybe it's an earl, I can't really remember. But anyways, she and him have always had this connection. It's kind of blossomed into a romance in their teenage years, but then her father kind of figures it out and is like, you cannot marry my daughter. And so he sends the hero away, and the heroine kind of had a play in that, trying to get him to leave. And so now he hates the heroine, and now he's coming back into the present time. He's coming back into the present time, and he is a self-made man from America, and he absolutely hates the heroine now, and he just wants to get her back and show her that he doesn't need her and her family's money to help him succeed. But then all these old feelings start coming up. It's a very angsty second chance, lots of longing, a very messy, amazing romance. It is so good. And I think it's the perfect place to start with her romances, because it gives you a little bit of emotion and gives a segue into the Wallflower series, which is one of my favorite series from her. So yeah, I think this is the perfect start to Lisa Kleypas, and she's amazing, and she's one of my favorites of all time. The next author I'm going to talk about is Kerrigan Byrne. So if you like darker contemporary romances and you want some darkness in your historical romances, she's definitely the girl for you. She writes very dark historical romances, and so I feel like a lot of people would recommend the Highwaymen first, but I personally love the Hunter more than the Highwaymen. I just found it so much more entertaining and very fast paced. So this one, our hero is an assassin, and he is dealt the card of trying to, like a hit out on the heroine. He has to go assassinate her, but when he sees her, has a moment alone with her, he is instantly enraptured by her. And the heroine is an actress, and she has a son. She's a single mom, and so he makes a deal with her, like, if you have this 1 week with me of spicy times, then I won't kill you. And she's like, okay, but she doesn't want it, but she wants it, like, kind of dubious consent a little bit. And then he has to figure out who put the hit out on her, and there's a lot of action with that. It's just such a fast-paced, fun historical romance. I listened to it on audio, and it was so good, and the hero is very possessive over the heroine, and it's just fantastic. I loved this book so much. So good. I love her son. I love her son's relationship with the hero, and he's very protective. He's a tortured hero. He went through a lot in his childhood, and this book is just fantastic. So good. Definitely go check it out. The next author I want to talk about is Beverly Jenkins. So this is her first book, Night Song, and I remember seeing an interview that she did, and she said, somebody asked her, like, where is the best place to start with her books, and she says, start from the beginning. So that's what I did when I started reading her books, and I think that is a good way to start with her writing. There's also another book that I love from her, Indigo, just one of my favorites ever by her, but I do kind of agree that maybe you should start from the beginning, because you do see some characters from before, and this book is just really good. So this follows our heroine, who is a school teacher, and these books are all set in America, and I think this is like right after the Civil War. And the hero was a soldier, I think, for the Civil War, on like the Union Army, and she just like hates anybody in the army because she had a really bad experience with it as a child, and so she really does not like the hero, and he has to try hard to get her attention. And she is kind of her own woman. She is a school teacher. She has her own house. She's very independent, and she's like, I don't need a man to be with me. And so they kind of start up a romance. And that's all I really want to say because I don't want to spoil it, but there is a lot of action that happens in this one, and it's really, really fun, and I feel like it's a great way to start with her writing, and I really enjoyed it. I love an independent woman in historical romances, and I love the representation in this book too, and I just love Beverly Jenkins so much, so I wanted to include her on this list because she is one of the queens of historical romance, and she's just incredible. So definitely go check her out if you haven't. I think a lot of her books are on Hoopla on audio, I think, so definitely go check that out. Love her books. I listened to this one audio and remember really liking it. Next author I'm going to talk about is Lorraine Heath. So she's one of my favorite historical romance authors of all time. She is incredible. This series is very a little bit more on the darker side of her writing, has darker subject matters, the characters have darker pasts. So this one is about an earl who is a scoundrel, a known murderer on the streets, and it's just it has a very bad reputation. And so the heroine, I think she like walks into his room and like tries to kiss him because she, I think, has like never been kissed before, and that kind of starts off their relationship / romance. They start having a romance, but he is set on marrying his best friend from childhood because he thinks that's who is right for him, but it's not. And so he starts having this romance with the heroine. I'm really starting to get to know her, but he doesn't want to tarnish her because he has a bad reputation, and it's just really good. I remember really enjoying this one. My favorite of this series is the second book. It's my favorite. It is so, so good. I listened to these all on audio. Highly recommend. They're all on Hoopla. Just a great series if you want kind of a darker historical romance, and it's a fantastic. Highly, highly recommend. The next author I have is The Lady Gets Lucky by Joyner Shoop. So I really fell in love with Joyner Shoop's writing just from this book. This is my favorite from this series. So this is a very, very sweet romance set in the Gilded Age. If you don't want like high society England, you want something different, this is set in the Gilded Age of America in New York. And so this starts off with our hero and heroine. The hero is known kind of like scoundrel and rake, and the heroine is known as very shy, introverted, very sweet and naive, and they make a deal where she wants to learn how to please a man, and he needs recipes for this new like gentleman's club he's creating, and she has worked with one of the most famous chefs in New York or something, and so she basically make a deal where if he teaches her like lessons in seduction, then she will give him these recipes and teach him how to cook them. And so that kind of starts off their romance, and it is so good. It's very sweet. He is very obsessed with her and does not want to hurt her because he knows that she's very sweet, and it's just a really good romance. I remember loving it, adoring this romance, singing it's so cute. Just a great, solid historical romance. And if you want to read something other than high society England, I highly recommend Joyner Shoop's books. The next author I have is Diana Quincy. So this was the first book I read from her, and it was just incredible. This is her Clandestine Affairs series. Her Clandestine Affairs series, and it's such a good series. So this first starts off with our hero and heroine meeting at a tavern one night, and they kind of have a one-night stand. The heroine is a widower, and she doesn't think she's going to see him again, and so she is traveling to see her stepdaughter, who's supposed to get engaged or betrothed to someone. And so when she arrives, she sees the hero and realizes that he's betrothed to her stepdaughter. And so it is very angsty. He really likes the heroine, but he feels obligated to marry her stepdaughter, and it is really, really good. It's very angsty, messy. They have this insane chemistry and attraction to each other, and it is fantastic. I love the representation in this one. The heroine is not from England, and she's always kind of been an outcast because of her family, and this one just has a lot of representation in this book, and I really, really liked it. And I think she's also writing a book. She's very her own woman, very independent, which I really liked, and this is just a fantastic read. So, so good. I loved the romance. I was obsessed with this book for a really long time, and I still am because it's amazing. Definitely go check it out. And the last author I want to talk about is Lenora Bell. I am obsessed with Lenora Bell. I really enjoy her books. I've only read this whole series, but it is so good. Her writing is so easy to read and just a fun time. So this is a hate to love romance, and the heroine is actually very like smart, and she loves reading books, and she is deciding to write a dictionary. And the hero is like a carpenter, and he is working on like a house next door to her, and she just like hears him like banging and doing all this stuff all the time, and she like yells at him and gets him mad, and he sees her and is like, oh, I like you. And so they kind of start having this banter back and forth, kind of hate to love. And then she gets this like this bookshop from her great aunt, and she needs to refurbish it, and the hero helps her refurbish it, and it's their romance, and it's really good. I love this one. I hate to love. The hero just is so hot for the heroine, and I loved this one. I really do like Lenora Bell's writing. It's super easy to read, and I just always enjoy her books and think she is such a fun writer. She has some very funny moments in her books. Highly recommend. This is such a great series, solid historical romance series. Alright, well that is the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed hearing me talk about all my favorite historical romance authors and their books. And definitely down below, let me know some of your favorite historical romance authors, because I would love to know. And I want to thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.